In radio station, part of the William Patterson Broadcast Network.
Broadcasting live from Hobart Hall in Wayne, New Jersey.
This is
The Innovative.
I think they're really unique.
The Fearless.
They have awesome variety.
The Kick-Ass.
I love Brave New Radio.
The Sensational.
I've never heard anything like it.
This is the one and only Brave New Radio.
The views and opinions expressed on this show are solely those of the host and guest, and are not necessarily supported by WPSC 88.7 FM, station management, or the station owner, William Patterson University. Anyone wanting to offer differing opinions may do so by calling the show at 973-720-2738. Abusive callers will be rejected. Now here's your program on WP 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. And as I say just about every Saturday morning, believe it or not, it is Saturday morning again. This is a one-time-a-week show for me. And it seems like I'm up here all 7 days of the week because that's just how quickly time is going by. It seemed like I was just sitting in this chair yesterday, and it was 6 days ago, or 7 days ago, whichever way you want to count it. And we are back again. I am thrilled because we are here. My guest is on the line. She called in right on time, so we're going to go ahead and follow our normal ritual and routine for Saturday mornings. If you don't know who you're listening to, this is your host, Marc Medley, and the show is The Reading Circle with Marc Medley, heard live each Saturday morning from 6 o'clock a.m. to 7 o'clock a.m. on WP 88.7 FM Brave New Radio. We also web stream around the globe on gobrave.org. So if you have computer or internet connectivity and a computer and your speakers on, or your mobile device, you can catch us anywhere you are in the world, regardless of the time zone. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let you know what's going on with the weather here in the northern New Jersey area. It is 44.5 degrees. Our weather's up and down like a roller coaster. 1 minute we're scorching and next minute we're freezing. So it's 44.5 degrees right now. We are working our way up to a high of 64. Going to drop back to a low of 45 tonight, mostly cloudy skies. High around, like I said, 65. Partly cloudy skies this evening. I have a 20% chance of rain tonight. Tomorrow, Sunday, 51 as a high, 46 as a low. Periods of rain, 100% chance of rain tomorrow. So I guess we're going to get some water. 70% chance of rain tomorrow night. Steady light rain in the evening. Showers continuing. Thunder possible on Monday. 68 as a high, 46 as a low. Showers in the morning with some clearing in the afternoon. Monday night, a few clouds. And then on Tuesday, intervals of clouds and sunshine in the morning with more clouds for later in the day. High of 69, low of 47. Few clouds Tuesday night. And on Wednesday, the sun pops back out. Expect sunshine and clouds mixed. 67 as a high, 47 as a low. Mostly cloudy Wednesday night with a 60% chance of precipitation. Well, that brings you the weather right here from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center. As I said, I kicked the show off reading from 2 books because it is the Reading Circle, so it makes sense that we would start the show off reading. And today for April 30th, out of the book, The Power of Being Thankful, 365 Devotions for Discovering the Strength of Gratitude. And the author of that book is Joyce Myers. She says, living in God's grace. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. The truth that God wants you to enjoy your life is a blessing that every believer can be thankful for. But one of the main things that will keep you from enjoying your life is works of the flesh. A work of the flesh is an energy, our efforts trying to do what only God can do. Trying to do God's job always leads to frustration. Trusting God to do what only He can do always leads to joy, because what is impossible with men is possible with God. The Bible says that God's grace is sufficient for us. Grace is God's undeserved favor and the power of God to meet our needs and solve our problems. We become frustrated when we try to achieve by works a life that God designed us to receive by grace. So rest in His grace today and be thankful for the joy that grace promises to bring. The prayer of thanks. I am grateful, Father, for your grace in my life. Help me to always receive grace through faith in you and trust you to do what only you can do. That's from the book, The Power of Being Thankful, 365 Devotions for Discovering the Strength of Gratitude, from Iyanla Van Zant's book, Until Today. For April the 30th, she says, I am willing to acknowledge there is a part of God in me that requires time, attention, and care. So on this last day of April, Iyanla says God uses ordinary people. He uses them not because they are special or because they have special abilities. He uses them because they are ordinary. It is only His power that can make the ordinary extraordinary. One of the ordinary things you can do that will have a God-centered extraordinary impact is to take care of yourself. Self-care is an acknowledgement of God's divine presence in you. Spending time caring for your mind enables God's light, love, and wisdom to shine through your thoughts. When you make it a point to still your mind and your body to care for your spirit, you open yourself to receive the power of God's wisdom. This wisdom leads to righteousness, right thinking, right action, and right response in all aspects of your life. Caring for yourself demonstrates gratitude, that word again, for God's presence in you. There are people in the world who desperately need the presence of God's light. You are a perfect source through which that light can shine to them. People learn by example, and you are a living example. The world needs living proof that God, His Holy Spirit, and the light of His love are available to all. The better you feel, the better you look. The better you look, the more inspiration you offer. The more inspiration you offer, the more believable it becomes that there are benefits and rewards for caring for the God in you. Who in the world would not benefit or could not benefit from a little more wisdom, a touch of love, or a surge of power? All it takes is a little time, a little care, a few moments of silence and stillness each day. Do it for yourself. Do it for the world. If these reasons are not good enough, then do it for God. Until today, you may not have realized that self-care is God care. Just for today, care for your mind, your body, and your spirit as acknowledgement of God and in service to the world. Today, I'm devoted to demonstrating my care for the part of God that I am. That's Until Today by Iyanla Van Zant. So that's our two readings for the morning. Kicks the show off with a positive vein. It kicks it off in a positive spirit, just kind of permeates the studio from this point on, actually, when I walked in the door. But from this point, certainly, positive spirits in the place. So I'm going to introduce you to my guest. My guest this morning is Aprille Franks-Hunt. And she's a master business coach and strategist, filmmaker, author, and philanthropist. She's the founder and CEO of Women Recharged, and transformational movement, or a transformational movement that amplifies women's voices, triumph stories of truth, and coach, speak, and serve. A next level distance learning platform that helps modern day authors, speakers, and coaches maximize and monetize their messages. To date, both companies has served over 5,100 individuals globally with tools, resources, training, and support, establishing Aprille as the go-to expert for purpose-driven entrepreneurs who want to do business on a higher plane and in turn reap higher profits and make global expansion a reality. Her whip-smart coaching philosophy is rooted in strategic planning and sustaining action and implementation, an approach she honed while revitalizing multi-million-dollar commercial real estate portfolios as a consultant. When their high-stakes ventures were failing, investors and asset managers turned to Aprille to breathe new life into their business and bank accounts. When CSS, Aprille has revolutionized the concept of online community building and engagement, establishing an elite, high result society with thousands of entrepreneurs who are impacting the world in monumental ways. From personal economic empowerment to social justice in less than 1 year. Her formula for success is simple: faith, action, and continuous education. I know that's right. Aprille propels her clients forward with the tools they need to manifest their own destiny, move into purpose, and ignite momentum, and most importantly, to sustain it. Aprille understands that media in all forms is the best way to ensure her message gets out. With her recent anthology, Fabulous New Life, she gave a select group of women a life-changing opportunity to share their authentic journeys to now, skyrocketing all 46 first-time co-authors to best-selling status. Aprille's books: Confessions of an Independent Woman, Truth, Lies, and Relationships, Fabulous New Life Volume 1, Fabulous New Life Volume 2, and upcoming Male Perspectives in 2016, Coaching and Speaking Blueprint. Aprille, good morning and welcome to the Reading Circle.
Good morning, Mark. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for rising earlier. Ladies and gentlemen in the listening audience, prior to Aprille coming on the air, I asked her where was she calling out of, and she said Oklahoma City. And I know Oklahoma City is in Central Time, because we're on East Time. And I always have to make that very clear whenever I'm advertising the show. That is Eastern Time. And so anytime my guests call in from any of the other time zones, particularly the ones behind us, I am extremely appreciative, because we think it's early here, but it's even earlier where they are. So I'm going to share some information with you, listening audience. You know the drill. I tell it to you every week. Get on all your social media sites, every last one of them, and let them know that Aprille Franks-Hunt is on the line with me, and we're going to be sharing some information that you're going to want to hear. So wake somebody up, text them, tweet them, Pinterest them, LinkedIn them, Facebook them, whatever social media sites you're on, get on all of them and tell somebody to tune in to the Reading Circle with Marc Medley right now on gobrave.org. And if they're in the northern New Jersey area, New York area, WP 88.7 FM. Do that while I'm sharing this information with you, and our interview will resume.
Thanks, Julie. And coming up next, is there rain in your weekend forecast? We'll find...
Hey.
Hi.
It's been a while. Great place and nice neighborhood. You must have a strong community association board.
Thanks. I guess so, but I don't pay any attention to that stuff.
Seriously? How do you know for sure the board and community manager are making the right decisions to protect your investment?
I don't, but what am I supposed to do?
You can get involved and connect with CAI.
CA what?
CAI, Community Associations Institute. They're a nonprofit group that has helped us build a great community. They have free resources for your association board, professional training for community managers, and helpful information for homeowners.
Thanks. I'll definitely do that.
Is the time and investment you have made in your home and community protected? Be a smart homeowner and visit CAI at responsiblecommunities.com.
Hey, parents of children with asthma, here's another hit from the Breathe Easies.
Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke around the kids in the house. Don't smoke in the car. Don't smoke in the house. Don't break my heart with your secondhand smoke in the kids. It can trigger the asthma.
Preventing asthma attacks can be as simple as making your home and car smoke-free zones. For more Breathe Easy tips to help stop asthma attacks, go to noattacks.org. Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
Yes, indeed. That's right. You are listening to The Reading Circle with your host, Marc Medley. We're with you Saturday mornings from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. actually, and we go into the next format after that, which is the gospel music, which is the good news and song from 7 to 9. But right now, as you just heard, we are in the Reading Circle, and my guest, Aprille Franks-Hunt, is on the line with me, calling all the way from Oklahoma City. So Aprille, let's start back from the beginning in terms of kind of like everything you're into. Were you like that as a child or a teenager, or how did all this come about?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. I think I really was born with the entrepreneurial spirit, and it's really just started. No one in my family was an entrepreneur or, sought to what I call initially be all over the place and following their passion. So I didn't really see a whole lot of that while I was growing up. But what I did see was around me a kind of hustle and bustle that just wasn't what I believe wasn't for me. And so I think it really just started with, me being like a defiant little kid, wanting to do things my way. and as I've grown up, just learning how to channel that, what my husband calls bossiness, into something that's more productive and that works for me. And that's where the businesses and the books and all these different ventures really have come from. It's really just having that initial entrepreneurial spirit of wanting to do things differently and wanting to do them, wanting to lead and wanting to be in charge of the outcomes of whatever I was involved with.
See, I have many guests that do multiple things, and I always label him or her, like either, in your case, being a woman, Renaissance woman. If it's a male, it's a Renaissance man. I always say Renaissance in terms of you do more than one thing, because I'm looking right there at the first line in your bio. You have Master Business Coach and Strategist, Filmmaker, Author, and Philanthropist. So you're not stuck just doing one thing. And there are those out there that feel like they can only do one thing and they don't do anything. And I don't fault them for that, and I don't judge them for that. But I'm one like you. I like to do many things. Me personally, I think life is too short, so I try to get as much as I can out of it. So which kind of came first? Was it the business coach or the filmmaker or did they all kind of come together?
Well, what really came first, honestly, was just a desire, Mark, to share my story. And like most people, I'm sure a lot of people, someone has said to them, you should write a book, or,
right.
You have a great story, or, oh my goodness, your life is like a movie. And I've heard my life is like a Tyler Perry movie more times than I can count. And and it really has been. It's been an amazing ride, and it continues to be, and I continue to learn. I think what really just came first was that desire just to be authentic and to share, the different things that I had overcome in my life. And so really author just kind of came first. After that, I decided this was in, it's 2016 now. This was in 2005. In 2005, I had a talk with a friend, and they were like, you really need to write a book. And so I started this kind of pamphlet. I was like, you know what? I don't really want to write a book. I don't have time for that. I'm not a writer, but I'm going to create this pamphlet that's going to share a few things for youth. And I actually haven't even told the story before, so it's interesting that is what comes up for me this morning. And so as I'm writing this pamphlet, I just start writing it, and I'm talking about, self-love and feeling good about yourself and these different things and mindset. And of course, traumas and different things that I'd overcome, because I was writing it for teenage girls because I wanted them to be empowered. And so as I'm writing this, it just kept going, and it just kept going. And so really that was the beginning for me. I didn't publish in 2005, of course. It wasn't until 6 years later that became a reality, but that really was the start of it, was the authorship, and just really wanting to be authentic and to also kind of cut the strings of the past and kind of free myself to kind of move into where I am right now. And I think that sharing my story and choosing to become a published author really was the catalyst for that.
So it actually started out because I'm assuming you're talking about Confessions of an Independent Woman, Truth, Lies, in a Relationship.
Yes,
and that one started out actually for the teenage girls.
It did. It started as a pamphlet I was going to write, and I just kept writing as things kept coming up. Writing is so romantic,
right.
And I don't think people understand how intimate it is to write anything, and much less if you're sharing a memoir, some very personal events in your life. So yeah, Confessions of an Independent Woman, Truth, Lies, and Relationships was the first of 4 books that I've now written, and it's just been an amazing ride. So authorship was definitely first in all of that.
Did you write, or were you writing whenever you were in high school, or were you taking like creative writing courses, or did you do that in further school? Because I always ask that question because some people, they've been doing it like since they were a kid. I'll get authors on the line and say, "No, I started writing poetry when I was 3," and so forth. And then there are others that said, "No, I didn't do this until I was in my late 30s or 20s or what have you." Kind of like, where did you fall in that?
That's the first time I've been asked that. I did, when I was younger, write poetry and those sorts of things, and I would find myself sometimes writing, mini short stories, and I've always been extremely creative, although I didn't know that's what it was. I didn't know to call it creativity, back then, before it was just a distraction. And but I didn't take any creative writing classes. I actually dropped out of high school in the 12th grade. I did not go to college. And I've just learned and studied, as a result of my own just inquisitiveness in the craft and just in storytelling. So I think it's really just a God thing. That
makes the story even more interesting. The fact that you dropped out and you didn't go to school, and yet you still now were able to do all these things. I'm looking at Confessions of an Independent Woman on Amazon, and it says, in Confessions of an Independent Woman, Truth Lies in Relationship, she stresses we must move on regardless, as dwelling on what might have been or obsessing over problems is not a solution. I know that's right. Although she shares her own harrowing experiences with us, the point of this empowering, informative, and highly motivational book is to reveal the lessons she learned and to show other women how she emerged triumphant and remind them that they can too. Sharing our stories with other women demonstrates huge growth and proves we are bigger than how we are all too often portrayed. She says while she encourages us to gain self-worth, value, and respect, this is the process that helped Aprille achieve what she really wanted to the end, to live freely and happily. Our lives are a testimony, and we should look at how we overcome our struggles and use them as valuable lessons to help others. That is so right. And interestingly enough, you were saying something earlier when you began writing it for the teens, this whole thing of self-esteem. And I work with kids every day, and I cannot emphasize enough the importance of having a healthy self-esteem. And I have told the story on the air a few times. I can remember when my daughter was in high school and I was at one of their little assembly programs or the dance programs or whatever it was. And there was this really pretty girl. Really pretty girl on the stage. And she was receiving an award. I think she was about to graduate. And the principal came on stage and says, I'm going to share a story with you all. Because the young lady, like I said, was drop dead gorgeous. She said, you see that young lady right there? And everybody said, yeah. She said, you would not believe that she had a self-esteem issue. And I'm saying all that to say there are folks that you would look at on the surface and have no idea that they're struggling with their self-esteem, that they don't think they're worthy, that they didn't think, anybody would love them or nobody would care, or that they were even worth being loved. And generally, whenever you get into like self-esteem issues, that leads into so many other issues. And that's why a book like yours is so important.
Absolutely. I see, I was talking to someone recently, and it's really, I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate, because it takes different adversities and it takes having those experiences to, I believe, cultivate who we become. We don't have these different perspectives and viewpoints necessarily when things are totally perfect. I think our growth comes from adversity and pain and and these different things that come up in our life. I mean, I can't imagine my life being anything different. I can totally relate to that girl. I remember being the girl that used to walk down the hallway in school with her head down all the time. I would never look up, which is so crazy to me to even think that was me now, because now I'm like, I just turned 40. I'm totally full of myself. Like, I just turned 40 like 2 weeks ago. So
Happy
I'm
birthday.
just thank you. I'm totally feeling that space of just adulthood and just being really what I call grown. And so I think it's just really imperative that we do something with that, and that we reach back and share with, it's just young people really, just where all this starts, and these different things that happen as they're growing up, and these secrets that they keep, and And it really, I don't want to say, it really breaks the spirit, you know, of our young people. And I think it's necessary for us to do something, you know, and not pretend that things are perfect and that these different things haven't happened to us as adults, because they need it. They need the stories. They need to know that they too can overcome, and that what happened to them or what happened through them is not in vain, and that there's purpose for them. And I think that that's just highly, highly important.
It is. I'm going to share some more information with the listening audience. And there's a point that you just talked about that I want to talk when we come back. And that's this whole notion of transparency, but especially between adults and teens, or even, you know, for the younger kids, but certainly between adults and teens. So I'm going to share some more information with you. Again, listening audience, once again, get on all your social media sites and let someone know that Aprille is on the line with me. And right before, again, right before we went on the air, you know, Aprille called in. And I had been reading her name as April, and she very quickly corrected me and said, that's Aprille. And I was sharing with her, I appreciate that, because I had this thing for pronouncing and spelling names correctly, because I know what I go through with my name being Mark with M-A-R-C, and people always addressing it. And when I get my mail and whenever I get correspondence, say M-A-R-K, they just make the assumption that it's M-A-R-K. So I'm very sensitive to that. So let someone know that Aprille is on the line with me, and we're talking about some serious things here, especially for those of you who are parents, or those of you who work with children, or if you're a teenager, if you're a female. Not to say that males don't have self-esteem issues, because they do. I mean, like I said, I deal with kids on a daily. I've been dealing with kids for years, and they do. So that's one. When we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about this whole notion that Aprille brought up, which was transparency. So don't you dare move unless you're turning the volume up or going to your social media sites. I'll let you go to the bathroom, but beyond that, don't you dare move away from that microphone, or shall I say that radio speaker or your computer speaker, unless you're turning up the volume or letting somebody else know that Aprille is on the line with me.
Having a place to go after school will make you a better student. Having an outlet to express yourself will make you a better artist. Having something to do together will make you a better family. At The Y, we're helping build better friends, listeners, writers, swimmers, scientists, and musicians, one chance at a time. Give the gift of opportunity. Support The Y at ymca.net. The Y, for a better us.
We got adopted. Over the years, I came to know what really happened. She had us when she was 17. The way she saw things going, it wasn't a good environment to raise a kid. The fact that she did that just shows how strong of a woman my mother is, and I thank her each and every day for it. I wouldn't be the person who I am today, and I like the person I am today. I knew I was loved, and I was part of a family, so that was what's important to me.
For more information, visit ichooseadoption.org.
I'm Christoph. And I'm Christopher. And our mom chose adoption.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
All right, I trust all of you got on your social media sites and your mobile devices. You text somebody that Aprille Franks-Hunt is on the line with me. And right now we're talking about her first book, Confessions of an Independent Woman, Truth, Lies, and Relationships. And right before I shared the public service announcements with you all, Aprille said something about the whole notion of talking with our teenagers and sharing with our teenagers and our children our experiences. The reason I jumped on that, Aprille, is because a lot of times what adults do, particularly with kids, is pretend like they have never done anything wrong and they have never gone through anything. And you really see this in church. If you don't see it anywhere else, you'll see it in our churches, where the older saints sit there looking pious and perfect, and the kids think, oh, I can't get to that because they've been like that all their lives, not realizing that they've been through just as many struggles and crazy experiences as these kids are going through now. Talk a little bit about this whole thing of transparency and why it's so important for us to be able to be real, or as the kids call it, 100.
Absolutely. All right, let's keep it 100 this morning, Mark.
That's right. That's right.
I I think, for one, I think what's helped with the transparency piece is definitely social media and the ability to connect with people on a global scale with literally just your fingertips. So I think that really helped the entire movement of authenticity and transparency, because I do believe it's a movement. I think that for a long time it was okay to pretend that, you know, the things that were happening in your household were okay, to pretend that, you know, everything was perfect, to pretend that mommy and daddy were always happy, to pretend that, you know, life was, you know, like what we see in the Huxtables and Leave It to Beaver and all these different images that we've kind of grown up with. And I think it was okay to pretend because people wanted, I think, we want to have this perfect picture, you know, and what I think is missing is the understanding that the perfect picture is what the picture is, and that everything, you know, Zara Green with the Grown Zone always says this quote, she says, things happen as they ought. And I think that embracing the truth is important. So for me, you know, I think just being honest and being, I think the honesty makes you relevant. I think it's freeing. It's therapeutic. I think it's all those things. And at some point, you know, I think people just have to stop lying to themselves about what was and what may have been and all these different things. Like, it's enough already, you know, enough already. And I just choose in my own business and brand and the way that I be and show up in the world just to be real and to be honest. And it's funny. A lot of people, they follow me on Periscope, and I'll show up most of the time with no makeup or just laying in bed or wherever I am, in the car and the drive-through line, wherever it sparks me to share.
Right.
And they're like, man, you're so authentic. And I'm like, if you have to continue to wake up every day and be someone different than who you are just so people can accept you, why?
That's true. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, it's like, if you can't accept, that's your issue. That's not mine. That's what I tell the kids all the time. It's like, well, you know, they said this about me. They called me this, they did it. You know what? Turn around. That's your issue, not my issue, and move on.
Yeah.
And,
but you know what though, Mark? Parents, the school can't teach. I don't know if school can teach that. I think very caring teachers and administrators can teach that, but I think parents are having a hard time teaching that because they don't live that.
Right. And I could not agree with you more. And the school that I'm in is in an urban area. And going back to, in terms of being transparent and being able to share with these kids, the kids that I serve, I mean, just last night I was at the funeral. The kid is in 6th grade. His brother was like 20, he was born in 1988. So the brother was like 26, 27, got killed on a moped. The twin of this kid got killed last year at the same time. So this mother now has lost 2 sons within a span of 10 months. And the 6th grader, he's now sitting there, and I walk around as I come around to view the body and everything, and I go to talk to him, and I could just see whenever he looked up at me, the pain. And I have kids in my building that have lost loved ones to all kinds of crazy shootings and murders and accidents. And our kids, goes through like unreal things. And we trying to get them to do the ABCs 1, 2, 3s. And they're dealing with emotional and experience issues that, like, in my lifetime, I haven't experienced. I mean, my kids, my 2nd and 3rd graders know more about sex, death, and drugs than I have in 53 years. And so when you start now getting, like I said earlier, because this is where the craziness comes in for kids, like I said in a couple minutes ago, and that's why I really love the fact that you jumped on the authenticity and the transparency thing. You will get folks that will put on this act, and in some instances even lie to the kids that they've never done nothing wrong, nothing's ever happened to them. And what that does is sets the kid up for, well, you know what, I can't get to that. So since I know I can't get there, I'm going to do what I want to do. Good, bad, or indifferent. Wherein, had we said, you know what, kid, when I was your age, I did something worse than that, but I was still able to overcome it. That's why I see your in your description about this whole notion of moving on. Like, move on. Don't get stuck there.
Absolutely. And you know what? I, as you're talking, I was thinking of instance when my daughter, who's now 21, she's in the Air Force, amazing, totally love her.
Oh, Air Force. All right, I spent time in there. Tell her, go. She got the best one. you tell her she got the best branch.
Right. Oh, that's funny. It's a little bit of a feud, sidebar, Mark. It's a little bit of a feud in our house. My husband is an ex-Army. My father is a retired vet, ex-Army. So it's a little bit of the
It is. My father did Army and I did Air Force. So I know I'm teasing, but I always, because my father and my uncles did Army. I did Air Force. And so I always tease him about being the best branch.
That's right. It's funny. So I remember several years ago, my daughter was in high school. She was struggling, and I had never shared with her that I dropped out of high school. But in my mind, as a parent, as I was raising her, I was like, I really need this kid to graduate from high school, because even though I don't regret my path and the things that I've chosen, I really wanted her to finish that. And was it fair, for me to have this internal, kind of imposing what I needed her to do because I didn't? Probably not, but I still wanted it, right? I still wanted her to graduate from high school, and I wanted her to do well. And I was having this talk with her, and I remember her being 15, and she was just struggling, and she was being bullied in school, and it was this whole deal. And I just shared with her one day, why it was so important to me. And I shared with her how I dropped out and how, how there were things that I missed, and I can't get those things back. I didn't go to prom, and there's some other things that I really just wanted her to have.
Right.
And she ended up doing those things, and she did them, and she graduated, and she went to prom, and all of that stuff. And so, but I feel like I have to believe that somewhere that helped her. Like, wow, it's not only, this isn't just about me. Like, I'm doing something that's greater, and I really believe that. And you know what? She almost quit, and she didn't. And I have to believe that me being real with her and just saying, look, I understand that it's hard. I understand that it's sometimes it sucks, and sometimes it's not fair, and all these things, and kids can be cruel, and teachers and this and that. And I just have to believe that really helped her and served her in ways that are manifesting today.
No doubt in my mind. I'm not a betting man per se, but if I had to bet, I would bet yes, there's no question. Because again, that for first off, what that did for her was, wow, Mom, I didn't, you went through, because a lot of kids are funny, and having been a kid, I just had this discussion with a 14-year-old yesterday. It was like 4 grown-ups in the room, and I told the kid, I know you're going to find this hard to believe, but the 4 of us at one time was 14. So we know what you're going through in terms of what you're feeling and experiencing. As a matter of fact, everything that you're going to try to do, probably we tried it and did it. But see, this is where the experience thing comes in, because any parent worth his or her salt is always going to want their child to be better than they were. All right. So the fact that you are now saying, look, I didn't, I wish I had, but even if I did, I still want you to go higher. It's rare that I hear a story of a parent that don't want them to go higher. I heard one a couple months ago that blew me away. That one of my colleagues that works in the high school was telling me about. The kid was working part-time at a company and was doing really well. And the company now says, you know what, kid, you're doing so well, we want to hire you full-time. So when the child goes home and tell the mother, I'm really doing well, so when the company wants to hire me full-time, and the mother said, no, I'm not going to let you work full-time because you're getting ready to interrupt my SSI. In other words, her welfare check or whatever assistance check she was getting. I'm like, no. I was like, that story blew me away. I said, you got to be kidding me. But I share that to say most parents want their children to do better than them. And when you share a story like that, when the going got tough for her, she thought back to that story. And also, she said, you know what, for my mother and for me, I want to do this. Now, you said she's in the Air Force. She went in and enlisted. That means she went to Lackland in San Antonio?
She did.
She did basic in San Antonio, right?
She did.
I remember.
Drove me nuts.
Well, tell her, good for her. I remember San Antonio well. It's been years ago, but I remember it like it was yesterday. But see, again, the more there's a difference between, and I tweeted this a couple weeks ago, in terms of parenting and being friends. We are parent first. Now, I'm not saying we can't be friends, but we're parent first. And for our kids, whenever we do share with them some of the experiences we had at their age, it really does help them. And they ain't going to let you know it helped till later on. Now, I'll guarantee you, whenever you're like 60 and she's 40, she'll come back and say, Mom, you remember when? Yeah, you were right. But when they're kids, they're not going to do it because it's not cool, you know. But by all means, but your book is not only for, they started out for the teens, but your book will help a lot of full-fledged grown women.
Oh, absolutely. The book actually is for women. It's not for teens at all. That in 2005, you know, I put that down and I let the pamphlet be what it was going to be. And then I picked it back up and I just expounded on it. And it's actually, it's a very adult conversation. And I share some very intimate details and things that have transpired in my life from a young girl all the way up until I was married. I got married in 2010. And so, yeah, it's definitely a grown woman read. So
now all right, your readers that know you, do they ask you, is this about you? Or do they, if there's something in there that may seem off, do they look at you cockeyed like, wow, I didn't know? Or what are your experiences for folks that know you who've read the book and kind of figure out it's your experiences?
Oh, yeah, people... Yeah, because I was very transparent. I mean, the book is about, it's confessions, let's just start there.
Right. That's the title.
Independent woman, let's stop there. Then the subtitle is Truth, Lies, and Relationships. So that's that just sounds scandalous.
Right.
So, yeah, people are always extremely surprised. Especially if they meet me in a professional setting first and then they read the memoir, it's like, wow, you said what, you told what. And I think I'm so free and excited to be who I am.
Right.
What's the word?
Uninhibited?
I have no connection. Yeah, I'm totally uninhibited, but I have no connection to the judgment that may or may not come with me sharing my truth.
Right. That is a good feeling. That has got to be a great feeling. Because, again, it's kind of like, well, however you receive it really is not so much my issue. It's more, on you. And I'm trying to help you because, again, you're not the only one on this huge planet that have ever gone through what you've gone through. But when people get a chance to, because a lot of people really do feel that whatever they're going through, they're the only ones. When they have a chance to read a story like yours, like, wow, she's been where I am. And then you get a chance to now get the redemptive piece in there or the testimony piece. Yes, I am where you were, but I didn't stay there. And I have, as you say, been triumphant. That's the key piece, that regardless of where you are, you can still triumph.
Absolutely. Listen, this life, it's easy. We all have a story. We can all recount probably, or many of us can recount the things that could have broken us, that has shaken our spirits and disheartened us and broken our hearts and been broke and just all kinds of things we can speak to. And I think we are in control of our own lives, meaning we have the opportunity to decide every single day. We can decide to be happy. We can decide to allow something to impact us negatively or positively. We can decide. We are the decision makers every single morning when we wake up. And I truly believe that it's just a choice, and we choose. And we either choose to allow it to work for us, or we choose to allow things to work against us.
Absolutely. I'm going to share some more information with the listening audience. If you've just joined us, my guest this morning since 6 o'clock a.m. my time, 5 o'clock a.m. her time, is Aprille Franks-Hunt. And she is a business coach and strategist, filmmaker. We're talking about the author piece right now, but when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the other two pieces along with the author piece, Philanthropist. And she's all of that. I call her a Renaissance woman. We were talking about her book, Confessions of an Independent Woman, Truth, Lies, and Relationships. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about that, as well as Fabulous New Life, Volume 1 and Volume 2. And then where does this all tie in terms of being a business coach and strategist? So don't you dare move unless you're letting somebody know to tune in and listen in.
can I make money in the music business? Why copyright?
Should I make a CD anymore?
Trying to break into the music and entertainment biz? Wondering how the business works? Wondering how guys like Elton John and MC Hammer go bankrupt?
Why am I not making any cash?
Tune in to WP Brave New Radio every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. Hang with the university's music business faculty hosts, me, Steve Marconi.
And me, Dave Phil. Plus, we'll have industry guests and students from the music management program.
How do I get gigs down at the shore?
Call in with your questions and hear the latest in industry happenings.
How do I get my music on iTunes?
How do I get on a tour?
It's Music Biz 101 and more every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Only on WP Brave New Radio.
Your secretary's got our checks, right?
Mine's direct deposit, I think.
Welcome to the Hip Hop Shop.
Hip Hop Shop.
Let's break it down for him. I'm DJ Nick Visco.
And I'm DJ Tone Dog.
And at the Hip Hop Shop, we're here to bring you hip hop news,
interviews,
freestyles,
written,
new and old music from the 80s,
90s,
2000s,
and 2010s.
Keep it locked right here on WPSC 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio on Tuesday nights from 9 to 11 p.m.
You're not going to want to miss this.
The Reading Circle on WP 88.7 FM.
Boy, I tell you how quickly time flies. It's already 6:46. I was telling April before we went on the air, thank God I have the flexibility that if I need to run over the hour, we can, because the time really sails. As the conversation gets deep, it really sails. I mean, it flies by. And needless to say, Aprille has intrigued my curiosity for sure. So before the end of the day, I will have downloaded on my Kindle Confessions of an Independent Woman, Truth, Lies, and Relationships. Now, it kind of makes sense that the next two books would be Fabulous New Life, because as she now went through the confessions and she's coaching on how to move on, where you're trying to move on to is a fabulous new life. So let's talk a little bit about that, because it looks like when I read in the bio, you actually have a bunch of co-authors on that one. You have, I guess, folks, ladies gave submissions to it or what have you, or how did that come about?
Yeah. So, I love the entire Chicken Soup for Soul model, if you will, of creating a space for people to share their stories. And so we created an opportunity for women to share their stories and share their stories to living an extraordinary life, because the word fabulous just simply means extraordinary, which I love with the quote that you shared from Iyanla earlier, just about turning ordinary people into using our gifts and being extraordinary.
Right.
And so we just created an opportunity for them to do that and to become authors and to share on my platform and just to share how they've overcome and what the journey to being extraordinary looks like for them.
Over the years, the bulk of my guests are female. Not all of them, because I have male authors as well, but the bulk of my guests have been females. And it has always astounded and fascinated and saddened in many cases when the authors come on and share what they've gone through, because a lot of the authors that would come on would, in their books, they would share horrible things about being molested as children and raped and kidnapped and, I mean, some really hard stuff that they've had to overcome. And so it always kind of blows me away, because on the surface, when you look at people, you'd never know it unless they told it. And for a lot of them, it was the ability or the way to tell it was through their books or their articles or whatever. So when you say that people go through a lot, I'm sure for these women, it was a wonderful opportunity for them to release in their stories by being a part of your anthology.
Oh my goodness, yes. It is so freeing, and it's funny because I always say people think they're free. They think they're free until they really have embraced their full scope of their entire life, every decision, everything. And the transformation that I've seen in these women has just been, it has changed the trajectory of their life, their children's lives, in their children's lives forever because they are changed. They are different. They are embodying something that's so much more powerful than who they were allowing themselves to play small to be. And it's amazing to watch. It's amazing to watch people set their own selves free.
Well, you know what it is, because it's very hard to constantly try to live in a way that won't allow people to know what you've been through. In other words, let me see, how did the kids used to put it when we were little? Something about you're perpetrating a fraud. That's what we used to say. As a kid, they used to say, "Oh, you're perpetrating a fraud." It's very hard to perpetrate that fraud because you're always wondering, is anybody going to find out? Does anybody know? Or either you're going with this burden, keeping it to yourself and inside of yourself, and it's constantly eating you away. So this freeing piece that you're talking about is just that, you know what? I've let it out there. I don't care who know. Judge me if you will. Judge me if you won't. It really doesn't matter. And the other piece of that is I get to tell my story and not you. Because a lot of times whenever something happens to you that people had to find out about, they get a chance to tell your story and hold that over you. But when you get a chance to tell your story, you've taken that away from them. Like, well, hey, I told it.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, so now it's getting good, Mark. It's getting gooder.
That's right. That's right. I know that's right.
So listen, that's one thing. The one thing is the most empowering thing, like I said earlier, is definitely owning who you are, because and again, I'm not necessarily proud of every decision I've made, but I am accepting of it, every decision that I've made. Right. And I don't regret them. So, and there's a distinction there. And so I remember when I wrote it, one of the things people would always say, they're like, oh my God. So some of the things I share in the book are me, being molested when I was 12 years old, and then I was raped when I was 19.
See,
I grew up in this, I grew up in this abusive household.
You would not believe the percentage of the authors who've appeared on this show that have that story. The percentage is high. And I would, and again, just looking at that, because I can't even, from experiences from meeting folks on the air like I am with you, has given me a greater sensitivity and appreciation whenever I come across people, because I have absolutely no idea what they've gone through in their childhoods or what have you. And if people don't get to that point where you're at, and the women who've contributed to your book are at, you just have no idea, because all that stuff that's within you drives behavior. And so when people are wondering, why does he or she act like that? They don't know their story.
Absolutely.
And I cut you off. You were right in the middle of saying something, but you were right at a point there. So continue where you are. Yeah.
So I think, for me, especially that freedom, and people ask me, they'll say, you're so obedient. They'll say you're so brave. And I would always think to myself, listen, I could never tell these stories again, right? This isn't about bravery. I don't want to necessarily have to talk about, overcoming sexual assault. I don't want to necessarily talk about, my father and my grandfather being abusive to their wives and beating them and berating them. I don't necessarily want to talk about those things. I don't necessarily want to talk about the fact that, I was someone's mistress for 8 years. I don't necessarily want to talk about that, or that I found myself in some of these situations, or that I went bankrupt in 2007. I don't necessarily want to continue to share those things, but what I've learned is that I am who I am because of every single experience, and I know that for me, it's really more of obedience than courage. This isn't really about courage, right? Because I was scared to death. I was like, oh goodness, oh God, really, is this what I'm being led to do? To share in such an intimate way. And so really it's more an obedience of this is my purpose. This is what I believe drives me and drives my success is sharing it and giving people the room to do the same. Giving people the room to expand and to do the same so that they can truly grow and evolve into who they were meant to be by living in the light and living in the truth. And so for me, it's definitely an obedience thing. It's not solely about bravery, and I just think it's highly necessary and relevant for people to own it.
No, it really is. And you said earlier about writing being beyond creative, but being romantic is also cathartic. It is freeing. It's therapeutic. Because, again, like you said, I may not go around trumpeting this story again, but I got it out. I got my stories out of me. And it's something about getting them out and onto paper.
Yes. And you know what, too, Mark? It's something about doing that. And then me taking it a step further with, venturing into the filmmaking space and, being the executive producer of my own film, Unbroken Resilience, and saying that, just kind of going back to what you were saying before, but I want to own my own history.
Right.
I want to share my own story in my own way with my own perspective, my own feelings, my own happiness or anger surrounding it. I don't want my life to have been a rumor.
I know that's right.
I don't want my life to have been a rumor. Like, I want to be in control.
Absolutely.
Quote me, tweet me at Epic Aprille on that.
I know that's right.
I don't want my life to be a rumor.
When you said that, I started laughing because I'm looking at Facebook this morning before I left the house, and it was a post on there that says, have you ever heard a rumor about yourself and you wonder where the blank did that blank come from? So when you just said that, that's what I went back to that Facebook post. But you're absolutely right. You get to own your story. And you gave me a perfect segue into the filmmaking part whenever you started talking about Unbroken Resilience. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, is that how is that being released? Where is it? Is it out? Is it coming out? How's that whole thing? Talk a little bit about the film piece.
Absolutely. So Unbroken Resilience is a film that was really birthed from the book, from Confessions of an Independent Woman. It's chapter 3. Chapter 3 in the book is entitled Bitterness is Real, but It Ain't Sexy. And it just talks about the context behind why I was so bitter, and it really came from a culmination of experiences. But in chapter 3 is when I was raped when I was 19 years old by this guy that I was introduced to, and I had known for 5 days. And so the film just takes you through this 5-day journey of basically being wooed, by this person, and then it ending in such a surprising way. And so that's what the film is about. We raised the funds to create the film, to produce it. We raised the funds in 30 days. We ran a Kickstarter campaign. Nikki Woods is our producer. Snoop Robinson is our director.
All right.
And so it was really amazing. And so we did that. And the movie premiered in Oklahoma City April 2nd this year. And we're getting ready to do private screenings. People can learn more about it at resilientfilm.com. And, so people can capture it and have their own in-home screenings and have a deeper conversation. It's not really, even though I'm using sexual assault as a catalyst, right?
Right.
It's really about the resilient voices of women and what happens next. What happens after the divorce? What happens after the teenage mom? What happens after you got fired? What happens after you gained 100 pounds? What's next? What happens after? We know that, things happen, but then what's the purpose behind it all? What's the reason?
Right. I mean, so you said the film was released in Oklahoma City. Was it in theaters or was it social media?
We did a private.
You did a private screening.
We did a private screening, yes. At I do an annual conference for entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Epic, and we screened it here. Over 200 people came to view that screening. Our next screening actually is going to be in Mobile, Alabama.
All right.
Next week, and then we'll be in LA later this month, and then we'll be in Atlanta this summer. So we're really doing this because it's more of a conversation. This isn't something, Mark, that I want people to watch and then be left with. It's something I want people to watch and then let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. Let's really evoke change.
So it's not necessarily just for entertainment. It really is to provoke thought.
It's really not for. I mean, you'll be entertained,
right? But that's not necessarily the purpose of it. I mean, like you just said, I want discussion to come out of this. Because I'm going to tell you, and I'm probably sensitive to it because I've probably been around women all of my life. I have one sister. I have 4 daughters. I have a wife and a former wife. I have aunts. I've been around women, and that whole notion of of rape, and I just does not. My mind just doesn't register that, because there's something beyond that than just the sex. There's the whole thing with the power and the control and the anger and the this, that, and the other. But it's not about the sexual act. So it's just something about rape that just does not resonate with me. And yet to hear that so many people have gone through that, it's something else. And then the fact, because not only do you go through it, but then you survive it. Because for a lot of people, that sends them over the edge. Like they don't come back from that. There are a lot of women and men nowadays, they don't come back from that. I mean, because that has got to be a horrific experience. Because I don't even like when somebody take a pencil off my desk, let alone somebody going to take something that's a part of my body forcefully. And so I can only imagine what that now, and the type of discussions it can lead to. Because again, I have 4 daughters, and one's about to graduate next Saturday, and she's down in Delaware, and I'm constantly talking to her, because she'll call me, she'll talk to me about her little boyfriends or her little friends that come to her, and I'm always very cautious. When you start talking about life experiences, I start telling her my life experience. Now look now. And so those conversations must happen. You just said within a 5-day period, somebody you met in 5 days.
Absolutely. And it was, it definitely is all the things that you shared, the power and the this and the that. And so in the book definitely is a huger account, right? Because you can always read more.
Right.
The film just shows, it gives that visual aspect of it. And I think that, and the numbers, based on the Department of Justice, are 1 in 5 women have been raped in their lifetime.
Right, and that's probably
I need people to hear that.
Right, and that's probably a low number, because that's 20%. That's probably on the lower end. It's probably higher than that. It's probably more like 25 to 30%. And
well, actually, they say it's about 30. It's really about 1 in 3. But reported,
I wouldn't be surprised. That's right. I would not be surprised at that, because, like I said, and I didn't know anything about you having gone through that experience prior to you saying it. But the number of guests that I've had on this show, the percentage is high. It's beyond that 33%. Probably 50 to 60% of my guests, if not more, have gone through that experience.
And Mark, that's over the age of 12.
Yes.
I mean, everyone listening, whether you're sitting in your car, you're at work, you're wherever you are, over the age of 12. That means that if you have your classroom stand up and count every 5th person, if you have the congregation of your church stand up, count every 5th person, if you have the people at your job stand up and count every 5th person, that's a huge number. That's a huge number. And so to act like it's not happening and to not want to have these conversations is damaging. It's damaging to women. It's damaging to families, to relationships. It's damaging. And so Unbroken Resilience really just is about creating a space to have healthy conversation about resiliency and how to bounce back after trauma.
I know that's right. I see here again in the bio that you're the founder and CEO of Women Recharged. There's a theme here. Listening audience, did you catch the theme? Women Recharged. Okay, it's thematic. I love themes. I got a thing for themes, because usually things that I do, they're always connected. So when I start seeing Women Recharged, Confessions of an Independent Woman, Fabulous New Life, you're doing the coaching, so forth and so on, it's all connected. And you're right, and we said it early on, a lot of times we go through the experiences and we don't know why until we now have to share our experiences. Our experiences actually help someone else. That's when you kind of say, you know what, maybe I went through this in order to help somebody else. Because if anybody had told me I would go through a divorce at the time, I would have said, absolutely no way possible. I will be married till death do us part. And sure enough, I went through a divorce, which was, for me, one of the worst things that happened in my lifetime in terms of going through that experience. But as I now share with other folks who are struggling in their marriage or either struggling or either going through the divorce themselves, it gives me an opportunity to help them. And so that's whenever I kind of say, well, you know what, maybe, because I remember when I was first going through my separation and divorce, I was assigned to a school, and it seemed like every parent that would call me would start sharing their story about them right now being separated from their spouse, or either the kid would come in and do something because they were trying to get mommy and daddy to come to the school together because they were no longer together at home. And I was like, okay, this must be why or at least part of the reason why I'm going through what I'm going through is to be able to talk to folks about this issue. So a lot of times we go through things and we don't realize why we're going through them, when the truth of the matter is we're going through them to be able to help somebody else.
Absolutely. I truly believe that, people are like, man, this happened to me. And nothing happened to me, right?
Right.
I'm a vessel. And I think what people are very, and it's no fault of their own, right? We're just very selfish, right? Everything has to be about us.
Right.
And I think sometimes we don't really understand that your entire life is a contribution to mankind.
Right. Absolutely.
Your life is a contribution to mankind. You are here to contribute something on the earth between the time you're born and the time that you leave,
right?
However long that is. And so my question to people is, what is your contribution?
Right.
Because if it's just to take up space, I'm not really feeling that.
No, you're right. I couldn't agree with you more.
There's purpose in everything, and so I'm just excited to be able to choose, to be in my right mind,
right,
and to be able to show up and not be ashamed.
Right.
Not be ashamed of what I've done or what happened as a result of me living, my life. I think it's just amazing. And I think more people, if they will look at their lives in a bigger way and understanding that it takes all of us to make this thing work, this thing called the world.
Right.
To work and to evolve. And it's all relevant. It's all necessary. It's just about our outlook and our perspective on things. And I just choose to have a positive outlook. And there's no woe is me. There's a million things I can say about why I should be, damned or why I should be broken. And nobody has time for that. Let's ride.
It's true. That is true. Well, I tell you, I know what they say in church. A lot of times you hear people say, I don't look like what I've been through. I'm looking at the picture on your website there. You certainly do not look like what you've been through. And that's a testament in and of itself. 'Cause like you just said, clothed in the right mind. That means a lot because, like I said, a lot of these experiences have taken people out. And so the fact that you can still do what you do and counsel and share with folks and baby, it's going to be all right. Don't worry. Trust me. You'll be fine. Don't play the victim. Stay positive. Yada, yada. That, like you said, and then that is whenever we begin to look at how we fit into the larger picture, because it truly isn't about us. There's a large, huge radio show DJ that comes on every day, Rush Limbaugh. I don't agree with too much Rush says, if anything, but there's one thing he says in his motto. He says, talent on loan from God. I said, now that's the one thing Rush did get right. We are all talent on loan from God. Mm-hmm. That's really what we are. We're on loan here, like you just said, for our space, however long we are on the face of the earth, we're on loan.
Yeah.
And we are here to do something, not just be the bump on the log. We are here for a purpose. So we are in the 7 o'clock hour. I'm going to go ahead. I got to do the weather and all that stuff again. And then when I come back, I'll give you the opportunity to do all the promotion you want with the exception of any kind of pricing. But you can promote the film. You can promote your coaching. You can promote the books, where you're going to be, book signings, film screenings, so forth and so on. You can do all that as soon as I do the weather and all that good stuff again. So hang out and then we'll get that done. And if you need to get, I don't know if you're an early person or not. Some people are early people. They get up early, but other people are kind of like, I'm going back to bed when this is done. So.
WPSC, Wayne, New Jersey. On the radio, 88.7 FM. Online, gobrave.org. A tune-in radio station. Part of the William Patterson Broadcast Network.
Broadcasting live from Hobart Hall in Wayne, New Jersey.
This is
the innovative.
I think they're really unique.
The fearless.
They have awesome variety.
The kick-ass.
I love Brave New Radio.
The sensational.
I've never heard anything like it.
This is the one and only Brave New Radio.
Straight from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center, here's your local forecast.
Okay, we're at 44.8 degrees here in the northern New Jersey area. considerable cloudiness today. We're going to move supposedly up to a high of 65 and then move back to a low of 44. Partly cloudy skies this evening, becoming overcast overnight. Then tomorrow, Sunday, cloudy with periods of rain. 100% chance of that rain. High around 50, low of 46 Sunday night. Then on Monday, rain showers early and mostly cloudy conditions later in the day. High of 67, low of 45. Tuesday, partly to mostly cloudy. High of 69, low of 47. Partly cloudy Tuesday night as well. And then rounding out the forecast on Wednesday, 66 as a high, 47 as a low. Increasing clouds with showers arriving sometime after midnight on Wednesday. So it looks like we're going to have a cloudy shower type week. Well, it is May, because they say April showers bring May flowers. Look like we're going to get a few May showers as well. That's the weather brought to you right here from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center. All right. Oddly enough, Aprille, the song that's playing now is titled "What Could Have Been." And whenever I wrote that, this is my own music, my own CD. And when I wrote that, it was in thinking of, had some of these experiences not happened, what could have been? And that's the title of the track that's playing behind us right now. One of my favorites, by the way, is What Could Have Been. And I'm talking this morning to Aprille Franks-Hunt. And she is a Renaissance woman, master business coach and strategist. We talked a little bit about her film, author, and philanthropist. And I said right before I shared the weather and all that with you, I was going to give her an opportunity to promote any book signings, film screenings, anywhere she's going to be in the country that you can get in contact with you. She can talk about her website. She can do all of that. The only thing she can't do is say a dollar amount, but anything short of that, Aprille, the mic is yours.
Thank you so much, first of all, Mark, for having me. I so appreciate it this morning, and I hope that it's been fun. It's certainly been fun for me. People can find me, honestly, just on social media, just anywhere on social media. Just type in my name, Aprille, Franks-Hunt. You can follow me at Epic Aprille, Epic Aprille as well. And I'm highly social, so whether it's Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Periscope, Blab, whatever, Instagram, I'm there, YouTube, so, you can follow me there and keep up to date. The best place to keep up to date with what's happening probably is just follow me on Facebook and Twitter is the easiest, so you can stay tuned to what events and different things we have going on. So Epic Aprille everywhere.
All right, that's Aprille. It's spelled just like the month of April. Just add an L and an E to it, and it's Aprille Franks-Hunt. And I have I told you before we got started, ultimately it would be fun because it's very conversational. It's lively. We try to keep it moving. And I had a blast just speaking with you. So I'm definitely going to be in touch with Nikki. Tell Nikki I said thank you again. Nikki and I have an interesting story because it was like I had tried for years to get Nikki to do the show. I mean, we'd been going back and forth, never could get a date going. And I think Nikki forgot about me. And then one of my guests who was on the show knew Nikki well. And so whenever I was talking about her, she said, I know Nikki, I'll get her on. Great. So now we start, and Nikki appeared on the show. So after that, Nikki started feeding guests to me. I was like, oh, this is great. And so every day now and again, she'll come up with a client. She'll hit me up on either Twitter or either LinkedIn on one of them and say, I got this great guest for you. You have it? Sure. Anybody Nikki recommend, they're on. Automatically.
I love it. I totally love her. She's awesome and amazing.
She is. So that's why if she's involved with your projects, you might as well know they're going to be fine. If Nikki's involved with it, your film would be out there. I'm telling you.
Yes.
So, but yeah, she's been dynamite in terms of sending guests this way, and they've all been excellent. And so I always tell her, Nikki, anybody you recommend, I ain't going to question it. They're on automatically.
Well, I'm glad that I've kept up the bar.
Yes, you definitely kept up the bar. So like I said, I will hit her up later on today, or if you talk to her, tell her, Mark said send another one.
Yes, I will.
But again, I thank you calling all the way from Oklahoma City. It is like around 7:14 or so my time, 6:14 her time out there in Oklahoma City. And for those of you listening around the world, whatever time zone you're in, we're glad that you're listening. But I'm getting ready to transition now and move into the gospel music, which is the good news in song. I'll be on the air till 9 o'clock. Then I have a full day ahead of me as well. But Aprille, you have a wonderfully blessed day. Before the day is out, I will have downloaded one, if not all three of the books. Most likely all three, because I just saw the Kindle price and I said, I can definitely do that. And so I will have downloaded all three of them because the stories sound fascinating. And always glad to read about stories of overcoming, because as you said, every last one, my mother never lets me forget this, every last person on the planet is going through something. That everyone has a problem. There is no problem-free person, regardless of how small or large the problem is. So the fact that your book is redemptive in terms of, yes, we had the issue, but yes, we've overcome the issue. And you can too, right? So that's always, because you never know the people that you're encouraging, that people read your story and say, wow, if it can happen for Aprille, it can happen for me. And that's kind of like where we want to get folks too, that, yep, you're not the only one, because, that's the trick of the enemy. That's what, Satan or the devil or whatever you want to call the enemy, whatever you want to call him or her, whatever you want to call the negative spirit. That's one of the tricks, is to make you feel that you're the only one on this planet that's going through what you're going through, which usually turns into you giving up. And that's what we don't want folks to do. Do not ever give up. As long as there's life, there's hope.
Absolutely.
All right.
Here's to everyone's resilience. Mark, thank you for having me. It's been amazing. And thanks for creating the space to share.
Oh, same back at you. And I'll be in touch. I don't know if I know I have Nikki's email, but if I get your email, your direct email, or either through Nikki, either way, I'll email you the links, and you can do whatever you share them however you want. Because like I said, I archive on YouTube, so it's not like a video, but they'll see your picture and my picture, and they'll hear us. The same thing that we said this morning, they'll hear it through YouTube.
I love it.
All right. Have a wonderfully blessed day.
You too.
Take care now. All right. Well, that wraps up another edition of the Reading Circle. I had a wonderful time speaking with Aprille this morning. I'm telling you, just never know what folks have gone through. If you go to Aprille's website and you see her picture under the tab Meet Aprille, you would never think. And I'm telling you, you go there, you'll see what I'm talking about. You see her picture where it says Meet Aprille, you'll see what I'm talking about. You would not believe that she would have gone through the things that she talked about this morning, and that's in her book. So do that. Get a copy of her book. Like I said, the Kindle edition, very economical. And if you want to order the paperback or the hard copy, you can do that as well. I encourage you to do so, especially if you're working with women and men for that matter. As a matter of fact, I didn't get a chance to talk about the upcoming volume she was going to do with men, the male perspective. So next time I have her on, we'll talk about that. All right, we're going to transition over. Don't you dare move. We're getting ready to go into the gospel music.